Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Welcome to the Richland Bean Blossom Community School Corporation's July 17, 2023 regular meeting. Please let the record reflect that all board members are present this evening. Also present, we have an EHS junior, Luke Waugh, who wants to be an informed student, and so he's present today too. So we're glad that you came and to join us this evening. So thank you. Are there any visitor comments this evening? Hearing none, we move to the consent agenda. We have the approval of minutes from the June 19th, 2023 regular board meeting. Financial report, we have the treasurer's report for June of 2023. And Mr. Durnall, the claims, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Gross wages to mini payroll for June the 8th, 2023 is $90,992.25. Gross wages for June 9th, 2023 is $745,047.79. Gross wages mini payroll for 6/22 of 2023 for $20,977. Gross wages for June the 23rd, 2023 for $599,390.75 for a grand total of $1,375,407.79. For vouchers, pre-claims, prepays for June the 1st through June the 30th, 2023, $4,031,893.72. For claims regular vouchers, July the 17th, 2023, $324,598.36. Forest Claims Hills vouchers for 7/18/2023, $1,122.39 for a grand total of $4,357,614.47. Almost made it. Almost made it. Anyway, for a grand total of $5,733,022.26. Mr. President.
Thank you. We also have personnel, resignations, retirements, non-renewals, leaves, and terminations, C1 through 7. And we have personnel appointments and transfers, D 1 through 22, but it appears there's two number ones. So that would include two number ones. And we also have an out-of-state an overnight field trip for the Edgewood Intermediate School 5th grade students to go on their annual overnight at Bradford Woods. So after we approve the consent agenda, we'll have some comments on them. So we have a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Sanders, would you like to do some introductions?
This is the highlight of the meeting here. We have some great people to introduce you to. A couple right off the bat, you know, but I'm going to talk about her a little bit later, but Jennifer Barrett is going to be our new Director of Teaching, Learning, and Ready Schools. And I'm going to go into more detail about that in a few minutes, but we're very excited about that. And so when I first thought of Jennifer taking that position, the very next thought was that Andy Scholl needed to be principal at Edgewood Intermediate School, and Andy and Jennifer work very closely together, and it's always a little nerve-wracking when you change principals, but in this case it's not, because Andy's going to carry on what they've been doing at EIS over the last several years. And Andy's wife Kelly is here tonight, and Kelly's our girls tennis coach at the junior high, right? So, you know, thank you for your service to Edgewood Schools, and Andy, I know you'll do a good job. Next, I'd like to move towards the high school and introduce our new assistant principal at the high school, and that would be Jordan Key. And Jordan's wife, Katie, is here tonight with their daughter, Avery, who is 6 years old. And they also have at home their 18-month-old son, Teddy. And I was just thinking about that. My granddaughter's about that age, so maybe they'll be friends someday. And then I also want to, I know somebody's special in their heart. Their son, Colton, who passed away, is very special in their hearts. And I did want to mention Colton here tonight. So welcome, Jordan. Jordan comes to us from Bedford North Lawrence High School, where he's been principal and assistant principal before. Yeah. And so I talked to his superintendent, and he just raved about Jordan, and they're going to miss him, and said we were lucky to have him, and I agreed. So thanks, Jordan.
Probably mentioned that Jennifer Anderson was raving about him before.
Yes, yes. And then I'm afraid I'm going to miss somebody, but next we have Kent Rensselaer, and Kent is here with his wife, Mandy. Mandy is a graduate of Edgewood High School, and Kent comes to us from North Harrison, where he was the elementary principal, and Kent and Mandy have two daughters, Ava, who's 7, and Anna, who's 11 years old, and Kent will be the new principal at Edgewood Junior High School. And so once again, I'm always, I know that I'm very prejudiced about RBB, naturally so, but it's, ever since I've been here, the people that we've hired have been excellent and have done a great job, have had immediate impact, and I know these people in their new role and new appointments will do the same thing. Let's see, I think I got all the administrators there. We do have some teachers who aren't here tonight, but I just wanted to mention them. Emily Eldridge, who will be a new kindergarten teacher at EPS, and Lindsay Paulson, who will be first grade teacher at EPS, and then finally Ken Greil. Ken is going to be our new media production teacher at Edgewood Junior High School, and he's going to bring some expertise to that position, and we will have an excellent continuation of our media production class at Edgewood Junior High School. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you and welcome. For those new to RBB and for those shifting positions, we're so happy for you. And one thing that I've said off the record, never know if I said on the record or not, but I was really excited when Jennifer Barrett was going to become into this position with the STEAM and Ready Schools and such. And the reason why is because it came to RBB because of her. Years ago, I had tried to fight the Redevelopment Commission of Monroe County from extending a TIF district, and of course that failed. They wanted to keep their TIF district, but I did produce arguments for the school, and so they decided, well, told RDC, you have to do something. All the boards did of Monroe County, you have to do something to help the schools. So I mentioned that in the meeting. After the meeting, Jen comes up and says, have you heard of STEM? I said, like, it holds up a flower? She goes, no, totally different. And so she explained to me and that's what got us involved with getting the grant from the RDC and moving as fast as we are. We're way ahead of the game, and so I appreciate your spearheading that by bringing it to my attention back then, so thank you.
Mr. President, I also want to mention one more person. Jamie Miller, who was our director of Ready Schools, has left us, and I remember a few years ago, I encouraged her to get her administration license, and she was ready to go and do that. She's going back to her home school, but Jamie has done a lot for our school corporation with Ready Schools, and I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank her for that.
Yeah, very much. She was definitely a fire that kept burning for us, and that she did a wonderful job.
And she's going home.
And she's going home. Okay, we should move on. We'll go to the Assistant Superintendent's report. So, Mr. Irwin.
You guys should have the cash flows there in front of you. I'll give you a second to get those out. So things look a little bit better in the education fund than last month. Made a lot of changes in there that just that reflects just the new legislative year and the new legislative budget. They released the latest Form 54 that has an update on student count based on their estimate of what our fall ADM will look like. That was about 9-10 higher than what our last fall ADM was. And so you apply that to the new legislative budget plus all the old grants, and that's kind of the updates that you see in the tuition support. Started to add in some new numbers and expenses and payroll and up certain things there. We brought on a number of new positions as we move into this upcoming school year to continue to fill needs that we have around the school corporation. But all in all, things do look a little bit better year end. It's not the huge cash balances that we've seen as far as gains go for the last couple of years, but it is showing a slight increase right now, and still a lot to work out here in the next 6 months, but we'll be there before you know it. So with that, again, education fund's in a great position as it has been, and we'll move over to debt service real quick. So debt service, you'll see highlighted in the yellow, we did get our June disbursement, or tax disbursement, our first payout. Looked pretty normal as far as our June one is always a little bit bigger than December. And that comes through the county auditor's office. We did pay our payments on our GO bonds from 21 and 22. And then if you look forward into July, you'll see that's where another big bulk of our payments go for our debts. And so we have already sent all those off here in July. So you'll see those turn yellow next month. And then in operations fund, it's not a ton different here than what was before. Again, claims were a little bit higher than what I had projected. All the other expenses and everything else came about right in where we expected them to be. Revenue-wise, things came in pretty true and accurate, actually a little bit higher than what I had on the estimate, which is usually what I want it to be, is a little bit higher than what I had on the estimate anyway. But again, we're still sitting in a similar position as last month. So with that, I'll take any questions that you have on cash flows.
Any questions? Well, thank you very much, and keeping us up to date. Next, we have consideration for the resolution approving the issuance of the bonds and bond documents. With this, we'll have Jacob McClellan and Bose McKinney lead us in this item.
Sure. Jacob McClellan with Bose McKinney and Evans. We're serving as your bond counsel on this transaction. I'll go through the resolution, and then there's a couple of items I want to mention. But this resolution is the final authorization for the issuance of these bonds. It authorizes the bonds themselves. It authorizes the disclosure agreement. It authorizes a purchase agreement. It gives you the option through Stiefel to place the bonds if a bank steps up and wants to buy them instead of offering them in the open market. I don't think that's likely, but it's nice to have the option. It authorizes an addendum to the lease. If you'll recall, the lease that you guys signed at the last meeting has a lot of not to exceed amounts. The addendum, once we price the bonds, will include the actual payments, so it'll make your lease payments in line with your bond payments. And then one additional item we included is the ability to issue multiple series if that comes up and it's advantageous. So that would be like if you decided you didn't need, 10 million of the 40 million for, another year, and you could issue 30 now and wait and issue 10 later. It's just an option to give you flexibility. And then I'll mention that I think the last item that we're waiting on, July 23rd is when the 30-day objecting period to the lease will pass. And then we originally had, I think, mid-August for a projected closing. You'll be through all your authorizations after tonight, and then I think Steve will work with Jerry and with Matt to kind of determine when you guys need funds. But it's probably about 30 days to, work through your rating, market the bonds, price the bonds, and get closed. So probably realistically looking, if you wanted to close very quickly, probably a late August, early September closing. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions on the resolution. There were a couple of additional items, though, in your board packets that I just want to kind of talk through, if that's helpful.
Any questions? Hearing none,
Okay. So there's one additional item that I think was included in the board packet. You guys don't have to weigh in on it or do a resolution on it, but that relates to the 2010 School Building Corporation. If you'll recall, at the last meeting in your resolution, you guys authorized the transfer of property once those 2010 bonds pay off. That 2010 Building Corporation holds title to the junior high school property. And so the idea here would be once those bonds pay off in January of next year, that we transfer that property to your current building corporation that you're issuing bonds under. The building corporation in their resolution authorized a similar provision, and you guys have already authorized that provision. But there's a unanimous written consent that I think was included in the board packet, and I just want to explain what that is. So the 2010 Building Corporation is a private corporation, they're a nonprofit corporation. And so their board members, and it's set up this way on purpose. You guys typically appoint the board members. For the 2010 Building Corporation, the president of the school board, the vice president of the school board, and the superintendent, by virtue of their positions, are the corporate members of the 2010 Building Corporation, and they have the ability to elect members to the board of directors. So that unanimous written consent kind of follows the form that we've used in the past. A couple years ago, Christine went through all your property records and kind of cleaned up everything, because what you'll find is, often there's a piece of property there was a financing in 1985 or whatever, and it's still in the 1985 Building Corporation's name. So that written consent follows that form, and all that does is because the 2010 Building Corporation hasn't met since 2010, it appoints folks to actually sign the documents on behalf of the 2010 Building Corporation to transfer that property to the current building corporation when it's necessary. And so I think it's going to appoint Matt and Larry. Normally it would be the superintendent and assistant superintendent, but since the superintendent is a corporate member to that board, that's not possible. So I'd be happy to answer any questions on that, but I know it was in your board packet, so I just wanted to explain what it was. And then the last item that Christine will have for signature at the end of the meeting is the bond purchase agreement. In the past, just like in the past, we'll have that signed tonight, because when Stiefel prices the bonds, they'll want a signature page on that the day that they price. We'll have that signed, and Christine can hold it, or you can send it to me and I'll hold it until Jerry and Matt are signed off on the final numbers the day of pricing. And that way we're not scrambling to get Dana and Larry's signature, on whatever day we end up pricing. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on anything related to anything I've spoke about. So.
Any questions? The bonding process is extremely long and onerous and very technical, and we so much appreciate your guidance through that. Your legal advice has kept us being legal, doing everything to the T, and so we so much appreciate you and all your efforts in getting this done. And I'm just so excited for these bonds to get out and these projects to get started. We've seen a lot of great things happening at RBB, and there's more to come. So
yeah,
this is awesome.
You're welcome, and I appreciate the opportunity to be involved in all these wonderful projects and to see all the change that's happened just since I've started working with you, since Carl kind of retired. So yeah. So,
Thank you.
Before January 2024, during that gap of time from August until then, the junior high building, how does that factor into, do we just move it into it? We don't have to have that up front? to get the bonds?
No, it's just if you.
Seems kind of odd to me. I'm just curious.
Yeah,
I'm
so
learning.
so what you might normally do is just transfer it back to the school and then transfer it back to the building corporation. But what you have to do in that case then is additional proceedings and appraisals. And so this skips the appraisal process. It gives you flexibility to spend funds at the junior high. You know, you're not going to probably be doing a ton of construction before January anyways, so it just gives flexibility. And then, you know, often when you're going to spend, so the building corporation, you know, doesn't hold title to all your facilities. You know, some of them, like the junior high right now, are held by that other building corporation. And in theory, you know, there's value given to the building corporation to be able to spend funds not in the leased premises, off-site of the leased premises. So, you know, in the future, if you do another bond deal and you want to spend funds, you know, I think the primary school and the intermediate school are not in the leased premises. And so that helps kind of make the argument that, hey, there's additional value here that the building corporation has, and that justifies us spending funds outside of the leased premises at those sites as well. So it's just really for flexibility. But if you wanted it to go back to the school board, I don't think it would. I mean, I know for a fact it wouldn't do anything to adversely affect this bond issuance. It's just for flexibility and efficiency. So.
Thanks.
One very simplified explanation. You hear leases and bonding and stuff. When Indiana was first formed, the first state went bankrupt very quickly. Then after that, they did not want like our school corporations to go into debt. So therefore, the school's not in debt. What we do is we transfer the property to the building corporation who gets the bonds, and then we pay a lease payment that the building corporation pays the bond price for. So it's just a mechanics that I wish they would fix so that we could just do it ourselves, but it just adds a step in there that I don't believe is necessary anymore. But that's why you hear leases and bonds and things like that.
Yeah.
And building corporations.
It's important to note that that's set up in statute that way, which is, yeah, it's very odd to do it that way, but it's done in lots of other jurisdictions as well. So not just Indiana, but yes, it's overly complex, but we've got to deal with it. So.
All right. Anything further? Okay, so we have a motion on the resolution approving the issuance of the bonds and bond documents.
I'd move approval.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Again, thank you so much.
Mr. President, just to kind of recap, this has been a process that goes back over a year ago when we had the facility study and determine what our needs were. We've had several meetings to come up with what projects, and then we got into the process of design and working with an architect, and then the bonding. So this is really a long effort, like Dana said earlier, and I appreciate not only Jacob, but everybody who's been involved with that whole process.
Thank you. Let's see, the next item is the 2024 budget calendar. See you. And for that, we'll turn it over to Mr. Irwin.
Yeah, so this is just an informational. There's nothing here for you to vote on. So I just try to bring this to you a month in advance before we get started with the process. Nothing looks new on the budget calendar than what you've seen the last couple of years. Still follow that process of in August, asking for your permission to advertise. In September, we do our hearings, and in October, we adopt. So still following that same process. The last few years, I think really ever since I've been here, we haven't had a work session on the board, a work session on the budget. If you guys felt like there was a need to do that, I'd always be willing to do that. At this point, what I try to do is just continue to update you on what things look a little bit different, but the process looks very, very similar. There won't be a whole lot of huge changes in the way that the mechanics of it work. And then obviously when we meet in August and September, I'll give you more and more info. If there's any major pieces of it, I usually reach out to you during the month and say, hey, here's something that's going on, or reach out as we work on debt service and landing our total tax rate, continuing to work on that management of that. Work with Stiefel as we talk about these bonds coming on and how it works within our total tax rate management goal and all of that. So we'll continue to have those conversations here leading up to me working on the budget, because it's important to me being able to do the budget. And I've already started working on that and going through things line by line and looking into all the different pieces so that we know what adjustments need to be made on that as well. So work on that's already begun. Once we close out the month of June is when it really starts moving pretty quick, because you need all of those numbers to be able to start the budget anyway. So with that, I'll take any questions that you might have.
No questions there, so consideration to approve the curriculum associates quotes. And I will make a comment here. The agenda is kind of long, and one of the reasons is that one of our policies is getting old. What I mean by that is that our policy states that any expenditure over $10,000 must be approved by the board. That could be as high as $50,000, and many of the surrounding school corporations and other school corporations use that. So there's a lot of these agreements that are within that time or that frame, and so we'll be probably considering an amendment, have a first reading of that next month, and raise that for these school corporation of our size. 10,000 is not that much anymore. So that's, hopefully that will help in the future, reduce these agenda items. Okay, so again, consideration to approve the curriculum associates quotes. Mr. Irwin.
Yes, like you said, this is a yearly renewal. There's a lot of different things in here that go along with the diagnostic programs for reading and math that are used K through 8, and then also some stuff that the Boys and Girls Club pays for as well. When our kids go out there, they do some extra stuff tutoring-wise with our kids. I broke out what was coming from corporation and what was coming from the formative assessment grant. We get that formative assessment grant through the state that pays for a portion of these. And then also our curriculum materials fund, which is the 900 fund on your fund report, will pay for a portion of this as well. So these are the renewals of those yearly programs that we use. The part coming from the formative assessment is $25,088.96. And then the part coming from the curriculum materials fund is another $25,212.14. With that, I'm asking for your approval of that renewal, please.
I move approval of the curriculum associates quotes. Second.
Moved second. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye. Oh, did you?
No.
Oh, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And next is the substitute teacher rates and KES pricing sheet. Mr. Irwin.
Yeah, so it's been about 2 years now since we made an adjustment to the daily rate paid to our substitute teachers across the state. Obviously, finding substitute teachers is hard. We consistently do better than most schools, but it doesn't mean that we're up to where we want to be anyway. That's always a constant battle. So the rate increases on these are $10 more a day for a regular licensed sub, $10 more a day for a sub with a 4-year degree, another $12 a day for a building sub or any sub that takes a job 3 weeks or longer from the get-go. They would start at that higher rate from the start. And then any sub who has their teaching license on that 16th plus consecutive day of a single assignment would go to $200 a day. With this adjustment, it also makes our rates for those that substitute for our lead IAs at the preschool the same as well. And so with that update, all of that typically is going to cost us between probably $30,000 and $55,000 to do that. So our markup rate with Kelly Services has not changed. They did not change that. Again, the only time that we pay them is based on when we fill. So again, our fill rate has gone up. Went up another 7-8% this past year. And so they've continued to work on it. The person that I work with through Kelly Services, she is great to work with. We still work through some of the struggles that on some of the back end where they're very departmentalized and they have a hard time working independently with those departments. but we're constantly working out some kinks there. But things have continued to improve. It's definitely not perfect, but this rate increase and this pricing sheet then allows them to go out and then market that as far as with our subs. And so a lot of our subs have worked with us for a very long time. I think one of them is here tonight who does a great job for us. And so with that, I'm asking for your approval to increase our substitute teacher rates for the upcoming school year.
I'd move approval.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments?
I appreciate the efforts to keep us as competitive as possible. I know it's an ongoing challenge to find qualified subs, but I do think we're doing as well as most.
Agreed. Anything further?
I just want to thank Mr. Irwin. He spent about a half hour with me explaining the Kelly Services partnership. I wasn't completely in favor of doing that 2 years ago, but I think it's continuing to grow, and I appreciate the breakdown of what our in-house expenses would have been if we would have kept it that way versus going with an outside source. So hopefully they'll continue to improve and be a good partner for us.
Okay. Any further? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is consideration to approve Edmonton Apex curriculum renewal quote. Mr. Irwin?
Yeah, so it's another renewal. Apex is our online curriculum that we use for the junior high and high school. Mostly at the high school, they share the number of seats that you see on that renewal. The cost of it this year is $18,515. Again, talked with Mr. Ackerman and at the time Mr. Siegelin about just the needs and whether or not that would meet the needs of the junior high and high school, and we felt that it did. It's been a reliable program that we've used for a number of years now, so we're just asking for your continuation of the use of the Apex curriculum. And again, this is paid for through the 900 fund as well.
I move. Okay, I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
I appreciate, I had some questions earlier that Mr. Irwin addressed, and I just was curious if there was any thought to looking at others, and I know that there has been some exploration of other possibilities, but Apex, when I worked with it, it did the job. I know sometimes the tests were hard for me to pass, let alone the students, so, but that's it.
Anything further? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the approval of occupational therapy, physical therapy, and social worker classification employee agreements. Mr. Irwin.
So last month we had a lot of the year-round. And these are some of the classified employee agreements that are more of the 9-month nature, more in line with what you see with our teachers' contracts. These are status quo contracts from last year. Again, one change on one of the contracts was that it went from being an hourly position to a salaried position. For a number of years, we've been looking at making that change, and the workload of that position has been consistent. The OT position has been consistent for a number of years, and so moving it to a salaried and exempt is fully justifiable. It meets the requirements for the FSLA as well to be that, and so that is a change. So it's just simply doing what we've done with some of the other contracts, take the gross of what was made during that last contract year and turn that into a salary amount. So that was just the changeover of how that contract looks. And again, these have been reviewed by Ferguson Law as well.
Okay.
I move approval of the classified employee agreements.
I'll second.
Moved second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the Pitney Bowes postage meter lease agreement. Mr. Irwin?
Yeah, so this is for the postage meter machine here in our office. It's a little bit different machine than what we've had. It actually meets our needs a little bit better. It's a little bit smaller. And with this, it's actually going to save us a little bit of money per year. It's a 4-year lease agreement. Again, worked with Christine on this. Wasn't a whole lot that we could do as far as the lease agreement goes, but we worked with Pitney Bowes for a while now. We haven't had a whole lot of issues. It's been a good partnership. But again, it saves us a little bit of money, and it also gets us a machine that meets our needs. So with that, I'm asking for your approval.
And what's the lease agreement amount?
Oh, lease agreement is for $2,428.44 a year, and it saves us about $851 a year.
Awesome. All right, do we have a
I'll move approval.
moved and seconded? Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now is the frontline renewal quotes. Mr. Irwin.
Another renewal, again, this is for Frontline, this is for our time and attendance portion of Frontline. The other part, the absence management part, that's paid for through Kelly Services because of that partnership, so we only pay half of this, which our half of that is the $10,845.15, which is for the time and absence management that we use for all of our employees. So again, this is something we've used for a long period of time and would like to continue.
I'll move approval.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we have consideration to approve some classroom furniture quotes. Mr. Irwin.
Yeah, so this is a redo, again, another load up of some classroom furniture that we ordered last year. This went through the NCPA co-op, but we went through Lead Furniture that was able to get us a contract price on this. We did 120 of these desks last year. Teachers loved them. They're more flexible environment, adjustable. They meet the needs of different learners, people handicap accessible, all the different things like that. Again, this is something that we were able to pay for through ESSER funds, and it's already been DOE approved in that budget as well. And so asking for your approval to purchase 120 of these desks for a total of $29,606.94. And that does include delivery and installation.
I move approval of the purchase of classroom furniture.
I'll second.
This furniture was very nice. I remember last year looking at the different options, so.
Yeah, we brought in a number of different types of desks last year. They got to come over and look at them, sit in them, look at them. And so we were able to know exactly what we wanted this year so that when we said, hey, this is the type of desk we want, we were able to get that pricing on that specific Smith System desk that we've been using so that you don't have 19 different desks for every year that you order them. So it's been a good piece of furniture, and we want to continue with it.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we have consideration to approve a K-12 tech repair agreement. For that, we'll look to our tech director, Mr. Rick Routon.
So K-12 is a partner that we've had for a number of years for protection plans for Chromebooks. It was always an opt-in situation for parents. We're looking at doing more of a district level, which is 6th through 12th grade for protection plan. There has been, in the memo I showed you, how much we have paid out to K-12 in repairs and how much we've collected back because of the gap. The savings that we see, not only is it reflective in the yearly cost, but in staff cost and also the time that it is for my staff, the school staff, and then overall the performance of the Chromebook coming back in a more timely fashion than having to wait for the parent to approve and pay for the repairs. An average cost anymore is almost $200 for repairs to a Chromebook. So we see this as a big savings for the corporation. We see time savings for ourselves, and we also see the convenience of an Indiana company doing the work with us. The one thing that we liked about K-12 is they pick up and drop off every Monday, except for the summertime, of course. We usually go every other week. So we're always turning product over and getting it back. And so if we can get it and we have no worries about billing and trying to do collections and follow through, then my staff has more time to go and do other services for the corporation. Right now, our newest employee is spending almost 35 hours a week processing Chromebooks, and that is just too much. The new way will be you bring it in, we put a ticket, put it in the box, they come pick it up, and then we just exchange it. So we're hoping to see at least a 60 to 75% drop in time of working with Chromebooks. This will cover 1,250 Chromebooks, and we took whatever we have with students, and we also included the loaner pool. So this time we'll have actually machines that are covered in the loaner pool, which did not get covered under a parent opt-in. So this is, again, something that we see as a very positive agreement, a positive input and output for the corporation. So I look for your approval to move forward with the purchase of the protection plan for 1,250 Chromebooks for the corporation. They will all be done by serial numbers and asset tag numbers, so that's how we'll keep track of which ones are going out and which ones are allowed to be in the repair. Now, probably thinking the question, anything from K through 5th is in a classroom environment, so it stays in the cart. Well, those already have a protection plan through Dell when we purchased the Chromebooks. They had a 4-year warranty. So they're still, anything that happens to those, we send off to Dell for repair. This is just strictly for 6 through 12 that carry them home and have higher risk, and those that were purchased prior in 2019 did not have a Dell warranty. So that's why we're asking for this to move through.
Okay, we have a motion?
I'd move approval.
I'll second.
Been seconded. Any questions, comments?
I appreciate the fact that we're fine tuning the process, because it was amazing how quickly the Chromebook became necessary in the classroom.
Yes.
And it's also nice to know that if somebody were stupid enough to leave it on the back of their pickup truck and drive away, I can't imagine how that would happen.
Don't know nothing
Rumor has it
about
that it happened.
In the past, parents have had to pay
Yes.
opt-in if they wanted to for insurance.
Yeah, the parent opt-in was $36 for a school year, so basically August to the end of June. This is now down to $28 per device, so it's a savings for us to do a big bulk purchase of protection plan. No, this will be
So I got a question. How did the number 1250, where'd that number come from?
we took everything that was in Harmony, the student information system of all this per grade, the number of students per grade.
Right.
And then we added in the loaners that we have in the school to hand out to a student if they needed one during a test or they forgot one. So
Okay.
those are loaners. So we came up with 1,250 based on how many students we have current enrolled.
6 through 12? Because I think it'd be
6 through
closer to
12.
1,400. That's
6
what I
through
was
12.
thinking. If we got 800 in the high school and 600, that's kind of what I was doing.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then the loaners.
Okay. And then did we already determine, are we going to get reimbursed? Are the parents going to be charged for the computers this year? Textbooks are going to be free, right?
They're not charged for the computers, Mr. Either.
Okay. Are we getting reimbursed from that with the state?
Yes, it'll come sometime between October and December. When the state released the memo, they said that it'd probably be closer to December when we actually receive the funds. But again, parents won't be charged for anything that is a curricular material, which includes a Chromebook.
Okay. But that will, the state's not going to pick up this particular cost to repair broken ones, correct?
No.
So that's on us.
No, that would be something that we could choose to pass along if a student were to break or lose something, whether it's a library book or a Chromebook or something like that. The school corporation can still choose to charge for that. But again, like Rick said, with all the headaches that we've had with trying to go through that process and what that's been like, it's more efficient and more effective for us just to buy the whole lot in junior high and high school so that we don't have to mess with that. Did not bring curricular material rental to you this year because we're not doing it. The only thing that you might see next month is possibly if there's any side fees that we still charge for, but I'm still trying to collect information on that and work with Christine to make sure that we've nailed down exactly what can be brought there. What I'm thinking at this point is K through 8. There will be 0 fees at all. The high school, we might still need to charge some side fees because of all the different courses and different things that goes on there. So we'll see how that rolls out, but it's a huge savings to parents, yes.
It could be like a $15 or $20 per pupil side fee for this type of thing?
You're not allowed to charge them. You're not allowed to force the parent to opt into insurance. So that's something that the state does not allow us to do. You're allowed to offer it, like we've done this year, and we've offered it. But that's up to the parent to opt in. We can't force the parent to opt into it. Now, we're buying it, so we're not charging the parent, so it doesn't matter. We're already buying it if you approve this. for 6 through 12.
Okay.
And as the memos dictate or showed, that our collection rate for repairs is not matching what we're paying out currently and not being reimbursed. So to me, it's just not worth, you know.
It's just like collection. There's
Yeah.
a certain amount that you never collect.
Yeah.
And so it's no different with this.
I appreciate the savings and time that it'll give your office. I know how overwhelmed you guys are, and especially when you add on building projects and all the things that go into that.
Now I know why you can't get back to me on my request.
There you go. Maybe now they can with their savings.
Thank you. Thank you, Angie.
Okay. Anything further? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration to approve the annual renewal of the Microsoft Assurance subscription. Mr. Roughton.
So again, it's just an annual renewal. It's just for our Microsoft services that we use for our servers and everyday use for Harmony, Computrol, Comolex, anything that has to do that requires a server is part of this. The Windows operating system on your laptops that the school staff uses has a Windows operating system. That's part of the assurance that we keep up to date for version 10. We'll see about Windows 11. We're not ready to roll there and try that one yet. Microsoft Office, SQL databases. So this is the stuff that we have to have in order to maintain services for the corporation. And so this is just, again, another annual renewal that we see every year come July for Microsoft.
And what's the cost of this renewal?
I did not bring that piece of paper with me. Matt, do you happen to have it?
Back it real quick. One moment. This is when the computer doesn't want to load for you.
$18,826.82.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I move approval of the renewal of the Microsoft Assurance subscription.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We've got one more for you, Rick, and it's the consideration to approve the annual renewal of Go Guardian teacher subscription.
Yeah, so Go Guardian is a product that we have for the teachers to monitor their young adults in the classroom. They can see and monitor the web pages that they're using or not allowed to use. They can control themes. It's one of the tools that have really gained popularity during COVID and after we came back with them to control misabuse and when they're in a classroom. I know the teachers have really embraced it even more this past year, and we have seen significant improvement in where the students are going during the class period and staying focused. So Go Guardian is a really good tool for the teachers in their classroom. I think any teacher that's here would say the same thing, that it's a great tool for them to use. It is available to all teachers from K through 12. The majority of the people we see is 6 through 12 that really use it. I know some in the EIS use it, but it's really, really used in junior high and high school.
Wonderful. And the value of that?
$14,552.
Okay.
Again,
I
thank
move
you.
approval.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Next, we have consideration to approve the RBB and IU Smart Grant Agreement, and for that, we have Jennifer Anderson.
Good evening. This is the new grant that RBB received in collaboration with IU School Psychology or School of Education. It is to train local members of the community and our actual employees to become the school counselors. So this is our agreement with IU about our responsibilities and their responsibilities within the grant confines.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any questions, comments?
We do, yes. They're all filled.
Great.
Yes,
You
so
happy?
excited. Oh,
Excited?
can you tell?
Excited? Okay. all right.
I'm beyond thrilled. I am just incredibly excited.
Right.
We were able to have 2 community members whose children go here, and then we were able to have teachers and a paraeducator or an instructional assistant who's going back to school. So it's a great wide range of community members and school employees that are heading back to get a school counseling degree and eventually, work with our kiddos and help them maintain good social, emotional, mental health in school.
Okay, good deal.
Beyond thrilled.
Okay.
So is this group full now then? Okay. Does it rotate, or do they complete and then another group comes in? Or
Nope, just this group that'll go through. So it'll train 4 individuals to get their master's in school counseling in full, paid for by the grant. And then it is going to provide a licensed clinical social worker with their licensure, with their school social worker license, 2 school counselors with their licensed clinical mental health endorsements as well. And then we have some wiggle room if any other counselors are really interested in becoming an LCMH. So we're very excited about it.
Awesome.
It's
Any
fantastic.
further-
People go K through 12?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They'll be primarily in elementary during this time during the grant. So they're the elementary student services providers and then the mental health coordinator. So what the plan is to hopefully expand that mental health coordinator role after the first initial 2 or 3 years to look K-12 wide, but then the elementary student service providers will remain in the elementary because with the TIMS grant, we're in our upcoming last year of the TIMS grant. We will ask for a 1-year extension because COVID did affect our funding. So I'm going to ask for a 1-year extension on that. We should be granted that 1-year extension. But what this will do is because we lost the school psychologist from the TIMS grant, this will help replace those people that we lost. She moved to Florida. There's nothing, can't stop her from moving to Florida. So she moved to Florida. So this will help replace and offset those elementary positions that were lost. We do have the secondary positions set up already. So we should be pretty good with secondary. Now we're just refining kind of the roles and responsibilities of those job descriptions in the secondary. So, but once the school counselors are trained, they will be K-12 licensed.
That's good. Yeah, that's great.
So they could work anywhere.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
How do you think our school corporation compares to others when it comes to mental health of our students?
Unbiasedly, we are probably one of the few in the state with as much support. The first grant that we received, we were the only ones in the state of Indiana to get that grant, the first U.S. Department of Ed grant. This second grant, there's only 2 other school corporations in the state of Indiana. I don't know of any other school corporation who has as much mental health supports as we do, and I do receive phone calls asking how we set this up, how do we maintain it, how do we, what's our implementation look like, what did it take to get this arranged. So I personally have spoken to 4 different school corporations across the state, and I think we are pretty exceptional in the supports that we provide our students in the area of mental health. We truly support the whole child, and that's something that a lot of school corporations can't say. So I'm just beyond proud of everybody here, everyone who works with this.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked the question because I wanted everybody to know how
Yeah.
good we're doing. And Dr. Sanders, this was I don't know if it's brainchild of his or a very important goal of his was to develop this program. Mm-hmm. And so we appreciate all the work you've done in getting its grants and administering the program. We thank Dr. Sanders for being the spearhead of this to really get us where we're at with it. So thank you.
Sure.
All right, so I don't remember, did we have it? Yeah, we had a motion? Yeah. Okay. All right. Any further comment? All those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. And also the consideration to approve a memorandum of understanding with Adult and Child.
So we have been working with Adult and Child since 2019. Adult and Child does not cost our school corporation anything. All we have to do is provide them a place to work. COVID, as with the school corporation, provided a lot of challenges. So we had a pretty good Adult and Child staff going. COVID hit. Everything kind of got bumped back. It was hard to find people. I can happily report that there is a therapist in every level of our school corporation. We have a licensed clinical social worker through Adult and Child at EHS, one now at EJHS, and one that splits between EPS and EIS. We have multiple skills specialists who actually work with the students in the classroom or within the school building during the day on those skills that the therapist is working on. We have an incredible relationship with Adult and Child. Every building that is here they are a essential part of their student support teams. It is something that helps us have that community health engagement partner. So they truly are what you would consider, some of you may remember, like Wraparound through Centerstone or through Milestone, some of those other. We have Adult and Child right here in our own school corporation. So they get to know the families, they get to know the support that sometimes we can't give in a school setting beyond to the families. They're the ones who then pick that up and take that on. So I'm just asking for your consideration for the renewal of the MOU with them so we can continue this relationship.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your hard work. Appreciate it.
Next is consideration to approve revisions to the 2023-2024 school calendar. Dr. Sanders.
Yes, sir. I mentioned at our May school board meeting that House Enrolled Act 1003 allows the Indiana Department of Education to give schools the opportunity to waive certain statutes. RBB did submit a flexibility waiver application on May 31st, and I'm happy to report that the Indiana State Board of Education approved our waiver application on July 12th. This waiver will give us the opportunity to work on improving student performance, promoting innovative learning, and to enhance the mission of our school corporation. The two statutes that the waiver will waive is Indiana Code 20-30-2-2, which talks about the need for grades 1 through 6 to have at least 5 hours of instructional time, and grades 7 through 12, 6 hours of instructional time. And also Indiana Code 20-30-2-3, which requires school corporations to conduct at least 180 instructional days. If you remember last school year, we also had a flexibility waiver which enabled us to dismiss school early on 4 different days. But everyone would agree that that was really too much of a disruption for the amount of instruction we gained that day and the amount of time that we gained for professional development. So with this new waiver, instead of dismissing school early on 4 days, we will be dismissing school altogether on 2 full days. So on November 7th will be our first flex day, our flexibility waiver day. And for November 7th, we will use that day for parent-teacher conferences and also professional development activities. So on November 7th, students will not come to school at all, but teachers will, and they'll participate in, like I said, either parent-teacher conferences or professional development.
And that is election day, right?
Yes, that is election day, correct. And then flex day number 2 will be April 8th, and we'll use that day for professional development, PLCs, and general work time. Now, April 8th is the day of the solar eclipse, which will be right at 3:04. So once again, on April 8th, students will not come to school. Teachers will, but we will have them home before the totality of the eclipse, which will be at 3:04. Also, last month, as you will remember, the board added 2 days to the required number of teacher work days, increasing the required number of teacher work days from 183 to 185. So with the flexibility waiver and adding the additional days to the teacher's contract, it requires us to revise our 2023-2024 school calendar. So August 7th is an additional teacher work day, and that will come at the beginning of the school year, even before the students even arrive. But what that will enable us to do is our teachers will now have 2 days prior to the start of the school. The first day we'll have our corporation-wide meeting in the morning. Principals can have their staff meetings. The required trainings can proceed. And then the second day, which will be April 8th, is just for teachers. So principals will not be scheduling any meetings that day. It'll just be for teachers to work in their classrooms. Now, if teachers want to collaborate with their grade level teachers to talk about something, they can certainly choose to do that, but that's reserved just for the teachers. And as I mentioned, November 7th, now this is a revision, so November 7th was a regular school day, so it will not be a regular school day, it'll be a flex day with students not coming. February 19th was a President's Day that we were going to schedule students to be off, and then students or teachers would be off too. But in this case now, on February 19th, students will not come, but teachers will come, and they'll participate in professional development activity, PLCs, and those types of collaborative work with the teachers. And then April 8th, as I mentioned, was going to be an e-learning day, but now it is going to be a flex day. We did change the snow makeup day schedule, and basically it's very simple. The first 3 days of inclement weather, we will use e-learning days. If we have 5 snow days, those days will be made up at the end of the year. We have snow days added at the end of the calendar. We will, if you approve this tonight, we will get this information out to our students, parents, and staff through email, and also to be posted on our website. Do you guys have any questions on all that? We'll be able to do so students will just come to school 178 days, but we will still exceed the required number of instructional minutes by far. So the students will still get their instructional time, even though they'll only become just coming to school 178 out of 180 days.
I move approval of the revisions to the school calendar for the coming year.
I'll second.
And this is all, Dr. says that the teachers are all on board with this too, correct?
Yeah, yes.
And understand the importance of it, why we're doing this.
Yes.
Okay.
So back in the spring, we had 2 or 3 different meetings where this was a topic at our discussions with the Teachers Association. We talked about different options. The representatives went back to talk to their colleagues, came back and gave us some input, and so they were definitely involved in all of this.
Okay, any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration to approve the 2023-2024 Contingency Learning and Safety Plan. Dr. Sanders.
So one of the requirements for the school corporation to receive ESSER funds is that we have to update our in-person instructional plan every 6 months. And this plan will basically stay the same except for when a staff member or a student has tested positive for COVID, they'll still be required to be out of school for 5 days, but when they come back to school, they will not have to wear a mask for an additional 5 days. So that's the change in, basically the only change to our plan that we had previously. And I will just add to that, that our plan builds in options for the school corporation, that if something was to arise in the community again, that we could change our plan before having to come back to the board. We can make that plan in conjunction with the Indiana Health Department and also the Monroe County Health Department.
Do I have a motion?
I move approval.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is our consideration to approve the amendment to the superintendent's contract. That contract we have had the previous hearing meeting on, and it's been presented, I believe, on the website as well. Yes. So I would ask our attorney, Christine Bartlett, to go through what the changes are with the amendment.
Okay, this is the fourth amendment to the superintendent's contract addendum. There are 3 main changes to the contract. It adds 1 year to the superintendent's contract term off of the existing term, so it will now terminate June 30th, 2025. It adds $1,500 to the base salary for the superintendent beginning July 1, 2023. And it adds a one-time stipend of $1,000.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Move approval of the amendments to the superintendent's contract.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? Glad you'll be around for another year. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration to approve the adjunct teacher permit. For that, we'll go to Mr. Irwin.
So in the consent agenda, you saw the appointment of Ken Greil as our media productions teacher at Edgewood Junior High School. A couple of years ago, the General Assembly changed the law that allowed us to hire workplace specialists or people that already have their bachelor's degree and experience in a field, and allows us to hire them as a teacher for positions. The only place that you can't hire an adjunct teacher is in special education because of all the other required laws that go along with that. Mr. Greil has numerous years of experience in the field of media production. And so along with some of the other requirements of the General Assembly, they say the DOE is not going to give the permit. The school board is going to give the permit. So through ISBA's guidance, we just real simple permit that we end up turning into the state. I have to fill out a JOT form that has some of the different information in there. That's pretty typical with any employee that we would have at the school corporation. But the school corporation has to actually approve the permit. So this is me asking you to approve the permit for Ken Greil as the media productions teacher at Edgewood Junior High School.
I'll second.
Moved, seconded. Any questions, comments?
I'm just glad we're able to pick up where we've left off on the media production class, because I think it got off to a great start, and I would hate to see us lose that momentum. So,
And adjunct teachers can be pretty important. I've served at Ivy Tech over 10 years in the past doing that, so I think it's a great opportunity for the schools to tap into specific special knowledge of different people. So anything further? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration to approve the annual renewal for the Renaissance Accelerated Reader. And for that, we have Mr. Roughton again.
All right, so again, it's just a renewal for accelerated reader subscription that is used at Edgewood Intermediate and the junior high school. It is a renewal of $10,947.25. I know it's been here since I started 5 years ago, so I'm not for sure how long we've been using accelerated reader, but I know it's been here since I've been here. So we're just wanting to continue the renewal for the 23-24 school year.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have the superintendent's report. Dr. Sanders.
Yes, and Matt, you know the question of whether or not we should have some blinds up there? I can safely say we definitely need to. I think you're down there.
Lose 5 in a week, buy the $20 pair.
I think this is a pretty good report to share with you tonight. You know, back when we started our Ready Schools initiative, 2019, and from that point until now, we have had several meetings with different businesses around the community. Cook Medical, Smithville, German American Bank, Hoosier Hills Credit Union, and many more. And we've used those meetings to really have a two-way conversation between the school corporation and the business world. And so with the business world, we wanted them to know what we are doing in our Edgewood schools to prepare our students for eventual employment in the local workforce. We also use that opportunity to listen to these different companies about what they look for in their employees. And I've mentioned it before, and it's something I always will remember. We visited and took a tour of the Cook plant here in Ellisville. And after we took the tour, we sat around a table with their department heads, and they went around the room and talked about what they look for in their employees, collaborative, communication skills, problem solving. And so those were all characteristics that we wanted to use to describe our Edgewood graduates. And so we've used that information to inform our graduate profile. Well, it takes a lot of time to go around and meet with each of those companies individually. So instead, we're going to change our format and have a business leaders advisory team that we will meet with twice a year. And our first one is going to be on August 23rd. We'll have a meeting lunch from 11:30 until 1. And we have some really key people in the community who have agreed to be part of that. Vice President of Cook Medical, CEO of Smithville. There are just a lot of key people that will be participating in this advisory team. And I would like to invite 1 or 2 board members to join that, and you could, I suppose it's up to you whether you want the same 2 every time or if you want to take turns. But if you will let me know how you want to do that. The first one, like I said, will be August 23rd, and really looking forward to those conversations. Secondly, just wanted to give you a quick snapshot. We received our iLearn 2023 results, and as you can see, we're in most of the grade levels we are above the state average. That's just one very clean way, an easy way to measure how we're doing. And if you look at English language arts, you'll see that we're above the state average at every grade level. And at math, we're above the state average, grades 3 through 5. And you'll see that we have a need in grades 6 through 8. That is not new information. We just spent this past year under the leadership of Jennifer Barrett taking a look at our math curriculum. We had teachers working several different work sessions on identifying the essential math standards, looking at the type of assessments that we're giving to our students, doing horizontal and vertical alignment of the curriculum, and we've adopted a new textbook, K-12, for our Edgewood schools. And so this is an area that we knew we needed to work on. We've done that this year, and hopefully we'll start seeing those scores go up. Also, a reflection of we just want to just continue to increase our test scores is really one of the catalysts to what we've done with the Ready Schools director's position. So when I decided that I wanted to try to talk Jennifer Barrett into leaving her school that she worked so hard leading, it wasn't just to continue Ready Schools. Now that's pretty important to do, so I don't want to minimize that. Jennifer is going to continue the success we've had with Ready Schools and even take it to another level. But part of what I would like for her to do is to help our school corporation to develop a long-term strategic planning framework to guide where we go with our professional learning communities. And we've had some administrators go to some conferences already on this. We had several who went back in February. Myself, Matt, and Jennifer Anderson went in June. And we're going to have another group go in October. And I would like to go back with that other group. I couldn't go with the group in February, and I wish that I had, because it's not just going to the conference and hearing about these different levels here that's in my report. It's about the conversations that happen while we're there, and what we're doing well in RBB in these very important areas, and where do we need to go next to sustain what we're doing for years to come. And in the end, our goal is to have a very set plan, so that when we do have a new administrator coming in, that it's not taking that staff and starting from scratch in a whole new direction. They will be expected to come in, once we get these plans developed, come in, and this will be the plan that they will be expected to follow in their school and in our school corporation. That goes for new superintendent coming in too. This will be the plan that, I mean, hopefully I'm here for a while, but if there is another superintendent, that he or she will be able to come in and follow this plan and give us sustained growth for years to come. We definitely needed a very strong leader for not only Ready Schools, but for this work with the extension of professional learning communities. And I'm really excited to have Jennifer Barrett leading the way. And we've already had some meetings. She wasn't even on the job. We've had meetings. And if you could see some of the work she's done already in conjunction with Jennifer Anderson, it's just great stuff for our school corporation. So before I quit, I just wanted to give a shout out to the football team who spent the morning washing school buses. And I wanted to let you know that our TVs here in the boardroom will be installed Friday. So next board meeting, we should be able to have those up, and we will definitely use them. And after the board meeting, anybody that's interested, and Dirk, if you could help us with this, we'd like to take a group over to see the new weight room. And then finally, I just want to give a shout out to Avery, who did so well during this meeting.
She's done so well, hasn't she?
We have a little gift for her, if you'll see my secretary out there. That's my report.
Okay, awesome.
That's it?
That's
all? That's all?
Save the best for last, right?
RBB,
23.
RBBEA comments. Doug is not here this evening, so we'll move on to board member comments, and I'll start with Mr. Durnall.
You're picking on me, aren't you? Huh? I don't have much to say. I want to welcome all the new administrators. Thank you for joining our team. We're all very proud of this school and this community, and we want you to succeed. So you've got a great leadership here in Matt and Jerry to do that. Dirk's been around for a little while, so he knows the system. He knows the system pretty well. So, but again, like I always say, I'm so proud of this community and this system and this school system. So, welcome aboard. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mrs. Jacobs.
You took my words. No, congratulations. Thanks for, coming to our corporation. We're very excited to see how this school year goes. Jen, we're very excited for you to move forward with your director. I cannot wait. And I just want to say again, thanks to Jamie Miller for everything she's done for our corporation, and wish her the best.
So, Mr. Tucker?
I did. I wish Ms. Miller the best, and congrats to the new hires tonight. Mr. Rensler, hopefully, I don't know if you got to see the spreadsheet on our test scores, but we got a little work to do there, so no pressure. Get him to sign that contract pretty quick tonight. But Avery, are you pretty outgoing?
She was waving to me.
Okay, can you tell me one thing? I might have scared her. What's that? Can you say 3 words for me, Avery? Can you say 3 words? Okay, I was gonna have to say giddy up Mustangs, but that's okay. That's all right. Welcome, yeah, welcome. Welcome to Ellisville, guys. Yeah, hope it works out well for you guys.
Thank you. Mr. DeMoss.
Welcome, Jordan, and welcome, Kent. And it's always a special moment when we have Edgewood students returning. And I said when we were interviewing Kent, and he talked about his wife Amanda, and then it finally clicked that Mandy Hahn, she was one of my students. So, but welcome back. I'm looking forward. And Andy, good luck. I think you're going to have a fun. I know, seriously. I think you're going to have a fun time this year. And however, you're going to have your hands full, I think. But somebody said. Somebody said on the show to do this. Well, but I was talking to a former library aide who said that she didn't think she knew more than about 3 teachers that were still there from when she was there. So there's been some turnover. So you've got something to work with. So good luck. And, but it's hard to believe it's 3 weeks until the teachers will be getting back to work. So it's summer always goes so fast, but and I'm excited. So.
Luckily, we had everything approved before we gave people a hard time. Yeah. So I, of course, as always, want to thank everybody for coming tonight and being patient. Again, it was a long agenda, but it's an exciting agenda. We're doing a lot of really good things. Yeah. We've got a lot of really good people in the right places, and so we appreciate all of you and all of what you do for the kids of this community. I enjoyed the fireworks that was hosted on our grounds, and I thought that the maintenance crew did a wonderful job of making sure everything looked really good for the community when they came in. And again, I'm excited with the building projects that's going to be going on. We're continuing to do great things at RBB, so get the word out. And you all have a wonderful evening. This meeting's adjourned.